Hi guys, my name's Adele Onyango and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. So I hope you had a fantastic week or something close to fantastic. The last episode of Legally Clueless, I recorded it on the day marking 7 years since my mom died, and I was super nervous about how that day would go emotionally. So after recording the episode, I went with my husband and friends to Athi River, which is outside Nairobi, for those of you who don't know anything about Kenya. We went go-kart racing, and it was really nice to create some new memories. That was my first time seriously racing. And then we came back home and watched a bunch of series. My emotions were really in check. It was very calm emotionally on my end, so I was very thankful for that. But yeah, so we came back and just spent the evening watching series. In fact, speaking about series, I found one that I love, especially on stressful days when I'm trying not to think too much. So it's called The Good Place. It's not new, it's actually quite old, but I only just discovered it, and then I discovered one of my favorite actresses in it. Her name is Jamila Jamil, and so I was on her Instagram. She has a campaign that is really trying to get people to appreciate and love the bodies they're in, and she put up this quote that was pretty powerful. And the quote is, "Dare to love your body in a society that makes you hate it for profit." And I thought it was powerful because even just on a personal level, I have been on a journey of trying to accept my body the way it is, especially in terms of scars. I've had eczema since I was a kid, and when I was younger, I couldn't wear clothes that were made from certain fabrics. I had to relax on eating eggs that I love, but yeah, can't eat too much of them. It was easier when I was younger because then my mom and everybody around me really regulated that. But when I got to about 15, I stopped following all of these rules that allowed me to take good care of my body. So my eczema then just flared up because I'd gotten pretty reckless. And I think to some extent, I was just wondering, why am I doing all of this? And it doesn't seem to get better. My eczema attacks, let me just call them attacks because it felt like attacks, would feel like somebody was throwing firecrackers onto my skin. It's the most uncomfortable thing ever, and it gets itchy, and then you scratch, and then it becomes a wound, and then it becomes a scar. So my eczema became really bad, and I got scars behind my neck, behind my knees, behind my thighs, near my elbows. It was just bad. But funnily enough, at that time, even with all the scars, I didn't feel ashamed of them. So I would still wear whatever clothes I wanted to, and I just did not have a sense of shame regarding those scars. And then in 2008, I got raped. And the manner in which it happened was such that I got more scars. And so now these scars lay on top of my eczema scars. And they were mainly on my legs. And then the shame set in. Honestly, looking back, that is when the shame set in. I just stopped wearing clothes that would show my hands or that would show my legs. I stopped swimming, which is something that first and foremost I enjoy doing, but also had done from when I was 6 years old. I stopped because I just didn't want people asking questions. I didn't want people asking, where did I get my scars from? Because I didn't want to be put in a situation where I'd either have to lie or open up and tell them the truth. So I would always wear long sleeve tops. I would always have stockings on. It didn't matter whether it was hot. I would be fully covered up. And I think this lasted until about maybe 3 years ago. That's when I was like, okay, honestly, we cannot be making so much progress in healing internally and emotionally, whilst when it comes to accepting your body and all that comes with it, you're still very apprehensive. Because then I wondered, if I'm making this progress in self-awareness and self-love, doesn't self-love include loving the body that you're in, honoring it, celebrating it as it is. So then I started actively working towards like accepting my body for what it is. So I decided to start by doing very small things like baby steps. So I would wear, instead of full pants, I would wear 3/4 pants. And that was a big thing for me. And I'd go through the day and come home and just be like, oh my God, I did it. Let's try and push it a bit, tomorrow. And then from that, I started wearing a lot of like sleeveless tops. And I know, even just saying it out loud, I know it just sounds like such an everyday thing for people. But when you have scars that you're just like, thinking about 24/7, you think everybody is thinking about them 24/7 when they see them as well. So I started wearing like my sleeveless tops and showing my hands. And the funny thing about it is that to date, no one has ever asked me about any scars or any darkening like near my elbows. Nobody has. I don't even think anyone has noticed, to be quite frank. And so that gave me like the confidence to now say, okay, fine, you've done this, let's move it to the next level. And wear your shorts without stockings, wear your dresses without stockings. It is just such a beautiful, liberating space that I've just opened up by doing that. I am loving this body that houses me, celebrating it, honoring it, taking care of it, obviously, because eczema means you've got to moisturize 24/7. So I'm constantly doing that. But it's just so interlinked to all the emotional and spiritual healing that we talk about, and that is very important. I'm now beginning to see how tied in everything is, even the physical that we leave out a lot sometimes. And then I remembered when I was 13, my elder sister Amanda told me words that I didn't even understand then. Imagine, it's taken me 27 years to understand it. And at the time she said, Adele, you've got to love the skin you're in. I don't even remember the context. All I know is I didn't understand her then. But 27 years later, I feel like now is when I'm accepting my body as is. And even with my scars, I'm seeing them not as things that I should be ashamed of, that I should hide from the world. They are more like a reminder of what I have conquered. So I've shifted them from things that I should be insecure about to things that I'm actually quite proud of, which is very strange. I never ever thought I would get here, but it's a really beautiful phase. And I'm just wondering if the same applies to you in terms of self-love and accepting the body that you're in. Are there things that physically are your source of insecurity? And what are the small things you're doing to change that around? And how is that going for you? For me, it's a really beautiful journey. I'd love to hear yours. You can share it with me via WhatsApp, voice note or audio note to the number +254 768 628 790. Just record a WhatsApp audio voice note and send it to me, because I think we need to take back the power in celebrating our bodies as is and not beating them down because they don't subscribe to society's definition of beauty. And that's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.